this Cartoon Network hoodie that was given to me like years ago is the only thing that I have that's even remotely Courage the Cowardly Dog related. So I figured that would be good enough for a video talking about something Courage the Cowardly Dog related. So.
Come on, let's go! We gotta catch up with Scooby-Doo!
In the middle of nowhere, Scooby-Doo found a little courage.
That's me!
It's my friends.
Oh!
And a lot of adventure.
Like, man, this place is totally freaky!
Scooby-Doo and the gang find themselves in the backwoods hometown of Courage the Cowardly Dog and his owners, Muriel and Eustace Bag. They team up to battle an army of insects. 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 71 on Rotten Tomatoes, and 3.1 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Yeah, this is probably going to be the best movie we're talking about for October, because trust me, after this we're going to be talking about some shit. So today we're going to be talking about a straight-to-video 2021 animated movie, the long-awaited crossover of Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now, I watched Scooby-Doo a lot growing up. I think, like many others out there, I think a lot of us are quick to say that the first 4 straight-to-video movies were probably some of the best, especially for our generation, you know, from Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, to Witch's Ghost, to Alien Invaders, and Cyber Chase. I know people don't like Cyber Chase all that much, but I don't know. I'm very nostalgic for it. I know it's not perfect. You know, you could say that all these movies have their flaws, but damn it, I still really enjoy them a lot. And then after that, I kind of stopped paying attention to Scooby-Doo. You know, there was some like live action movies that went to television. Recently we had the whole Velma streaming show on HBO Max that was terrible. And there's a bunch of straight-to-video movies that I've just never seen. Though I have heard that there are some good ones in there. Like Frank and Creepy, I heard was actually a diamond in the rough. And obviously there was the animated movie that had the Shaggy meme where he goes full demigod mode. Then you got a couple other ones where it's like, okay, they just made that because Warner Brothers needed a Scooby-Doo product put out that year. I mean, there was one where they had the Scooby Gang meet up with WWE wrestlers.
Team up with a dog who puts the smack in SmackDown. Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery.
And it's like, come on, let's be honest. We know why they made that. They made that because corporate whoring, plain and simple. That's just WWE wanted some free product placement, free publicity. That's why that was made. And then you get Courage the Cowardly Dog, which I still maintain was probably one of Cartoon Network's best shows. I really enjoyed that show. I think I enjoyed that show a lot in the same way that I enjoy Invader Zim. It was just so different. It wasn't trying to be what everyone else was doing. It was its own thing, and it wasn't afraid to be dark. That's the thing. Other shows, you know, they usually try to be marketable, or they usually try to fall into some kind of guideline. This, while it definitely was appealing to the more alternative, darker type of crowd, I think that's what made shows like Zim and Courage stick out as being so good as they were. They were just so in their own lane. They didn't try to play by any kind of rule book. They just did whatever they wanted. And while I don't think Courage was as controversial as Invader Zim, as far as I can remember, I mean, in Courage's defense, compared to Zim, I think it lasted longer. It went for like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 seasons maybe. From what I remember of Courage, because I did try watching a couple of episodes before watching this movie, and first of all, the show holds up surprisingly well. Like, it's so good, even after all this time. It's one of those shows where it definitely doesn't talk down to the audience, and it isn't afraid to get mature, and it isn't afraid to talk about more serious issues every once in a while. Not every episode, but there are very sweet, very poignant episodes in that show. And also, I think it's sort of a good counterbalance to Invader Zim, because you look at Invader Zim, and a lot of that show is incredibly nihilistic. I mean, not super blatantly, but like there's a lot of elements that just kind of feel like, yeah, life sucks, what are you gonna do? Life doesn't get any better. There's a lot of that in Invader Zim. In comparison, Courage kind of took the Don Bluth approach, which is you can put your main characters through so much hell and so much torment, but as long as it has a happy ending, that's all that really matters. That's what makes it all worth it. And I think that's very sweet, especially considering the main character is just this dog who's literally afraid of his own shadow in the intro. Looks at his shadow, there's a monstrous version of it, and he runs away screaming. But he never gives up. It's like that Charlie Brown can-do attitude that makes you want to root for him, and I think that's great. I feel like we haven't really had a show like Courage in quite a while. And people have told me about the person that made the show, John Dilworth is his name, that he's apparently wanted to do some kind of Courage special or some kind of reboot show, but apparently Cartoon Network, being owned by Warner Brothers, they make fucking terrible decisions all the time. Apparently he's just one of the many former creators of shows for them, and they're just like, oh, you want to make a reboot show? You want to bring back these nostalgic IPs that could probably drive a lot of our nostalgia-driven audience back? No, you're not going to get one. And it's like, what the fuck? As a quick sidebar before we even get to the movie, I just want to say, I absolutely love that every time you shit on Warner Brothers, you get a free pass, but when it's Disney, that's off limits. Now moving on to the movie itself, similar to another October review I did many years ago with The Bye Bye Man, any kind of clips of the movie are going to be from a commentary video that me and my friend Gus did, because we both sat down to watch the movie back in 2021 when it first came out. And, when we watched the movie, I went into it trying to be cautiously optimistic, whereas Gus is a lot more of a Scooby-Doo fan, and he was telling me that some of the recent Scooby-Doo movies that came out before this one were not very good. And Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo was, I think, the one that came right before this, and he said that was terrible. And I think another one that came before that was Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, which looked like an absolute slap in the face to probably one of if not the best Scooby-Doo straight-to-video movies. So it's just like, oh god. So yeah, as much as I was going into it wanting to like it, there was still that sinking feeling like, oh god, this might not be very good. But then we watched the movie, and if you want to see most of the full commentary, you can see the link on Vimeo. But then we watched the movie for ourselves, and like I'm going to talk about with this review, the movie, for the most part, was actually kind of a pleasant surprise. I actually did, for the most part, enjoy this movie. There are a few nitpicks that I'll make along the way, but for the most part, I enjoyed watching this one. This was actually pretty fun. Now, the movie does start off on a very weird note, because, I know Scooby-Doo has been around since the 60s. You obviously got to try and modernize your franchise and, have it be in current year, and you have to have your characters adapt with the times. But I don't know, man. There's just something about the Scooby-Doo characters using smartphones and talking about self-help podcasts and using the internet. There's just something about that will never not be weird to me.
Like Scooby and I gotta take some pics.
I hate it already.
Okay, yeah, not a fan of the modern references just for the sake of it. We're gonna put this on Twitter!
I need an internet connection to find some answers.
Oh, we've
I'm still just, I cannot believe I'm hearing Velma say I need an internet connection.
Wi-Fi password for this place, man.
But anyway, so the plot begins with the Scooby Gang successfully capturing yet another crook in a mask. He's dressed up as a clown and he was trying to rob the bank. But then some kind of weird frequency goes off, which makes Scooby uncontrollably start dancing around, and he ends up running off to try and chase the frequency, which causes the rest of the Mystery Inc. crew to go chase after him. And of course, once Scooby goes after the frequency, he ends up landing in the middle of nowhere with the farmhouse run by Muriel and Eustace Bagg and their dog Courage, who also seems to be experiencing the same kind of frequency, which makes him uncontrollably dance.
I don't like seeing Courage gyrate like that.
Yeah, this is just weird.
The two end up meeting outside the farmhouse, and it seems like they're both pretty friendly with one another, and Scooby's friends end up finding him, and, they also notice what seems to be the big monster of the movie, which are these giant cicada bugs, which vaguely look like those cockroach guys from that one Courage episode where they're in the big city. I did like small attention to detail with stuff like that. They found a decent blend of an art style that looks like something from Scooby-Doo, but also something from Courage. So Muriel lets them into the home, and they talk for a little bit in the kitchen. Of course, Eustace gets to be a crotchety old man, and he does say the line from Scooby-Doo that everybody quotes.
stupid meddling kids.
There it is.
Oh, they did it.
They make it very apparent right off the bat that lots of crazy things happen in the middle of nowhere, much like the original cartoon intro said. And so the big thing now is obviously these giant cicada bugs that are attacking.
What?
What?
What the fuck? Okay, that was funny. That was weird.
But in that instance, they then receive an invitation for some kind of fancy dinner hosted by the mayor of Nowhere, which character I don't think they've ever shown in the cartoon. I mean, when they show him, he does look like a Courage character. He looks like a Courage the Cowardly Dog version of, like, Geraldo a little bit, with a mustache and the glasses they gave him.
Please hand that invitation to my assistant. Oh, let's have a look.
I love it. It's just a guy in a polo.
But, I mean, once they hear free food, obviously Shaggy, Scooby, and even Eustace decide it's a good idea, so they all decide to head out for this thing. And then we get a chase scene where, well, the dogs have to ride with Eustace, but then the truck ends up taken over by one of these giant cicadas, and then we get a giant chase sequence. We do get a really funny line from Muriel.
There's a horrible, ugly monster driving that truck.
Call him Eustace,
Muriel, you're way too pure for this world. And well, okay, this was a weird thing, but I wanted to point it out. The mystery machine is like trailing behind the truck because, you know, this cicada monster is just speeding down and they have to chase after it.
Oh, dear. Oh, man.
Oh, no, they don't. Nitro boosters in 3, 2...
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
While you were redoing the decals, I added nitro boosters.
When did Daphne learn how to do that?
Now, I have a bit of a game theory here. I've been seeing in recent years people saying, oh no, Velma was really the hot one the whole time. So it makes me think that maybe they're trying to do some kind of reverse marketing thing and they're having it that now Daphne is the smart one. Because I don't think Daphne would have ever done that years ago. That felt more like something you'd see Velma do, maybe. But, I don't know, that was just a minor observation.
On it, dropping anchor.
Where did you get this shit?
The point is, the dogs end up surviving and the truck ends up going off a cliff and they do the gag where it's like, oh, maybe it's not destroyed, and then it just, you know, it ends up getting impaled and then it explodes several times over. That's another thing. Like my friend Gus pointed out, lots of explosions in this Scooby-Doo movie. Was not expecting that.
Truck might be okay.
Or not.
Like, it might still be okay.
There's a lot of explosions in the Scooby-Doo movie.
After that, they end up getting to the manor of the mayor of Nowhere, who has sentient evil chairs that attack them, and then they just kind of breeze right by that.
I don't know, I don't buy it. It's kind of costume. Definitely kind of costume.
Oh no, where'd they do the cherry?
Appropriately, this makes sense if you've watched Courage. I mean, again, going back to what they say in the intro, lots of creepy stuff happens in the middle of nowhere. And this later on in this movie, they actually do explain it in a pretty effective way. You also establish the archetypical red herrings for the movie. You have this old butler guy who's like, you know, this big hulking scary man, and this German lady who was just completely reminding me of Cloris Leachman's character from Young Frankenstein, but they're like his servants that work in his manor. And it turns out they aren't really having a dinner. Pretty much the scene is the typical Scooby-Doo moment where you establish that there's potential suspects and oh, who could it be? And it was in that instance I was thinking, it's gonna be the mayor. You know, he's talking about how he can't stay long, he has more important things to do, all the while they're trying to make the other people seem incredibly creepy. I don't know, it seemed pretty obvious. But I gotta say, I was not expecting the twist as to who it actually was, so we'll get to that in a second. But here's where the moment where everybody splits off. You have it that Shaggy, Scooby, Eustace, and Courage go to the kitchen to try and get some real food, while the rest of the gang end up doing the typical thing. They find a secret corridor, and there's some kind of secret hidden area where there seem to be a bunch of artifacts, and they even have a handy-dandy TV with the news reporter guy from the intro of Courage.
Stock footage.
Oh yeah, you can definitely tell the difference in quality.
This came out in the 2000s. This came out 2021.
While the other four are in the kitchen making a sandwich, we get the obligatory fart joke you'd expect in a kids movie.
Needs more mustard. Excuse me.
Yep, definitely a kids movie.
If you think that's the worst we're gonna get here, oh, you're in for so much worse if you haven't seen this movie. But anyway, Eustace gets sick of all this and he just pisses off. So now it's just Shaggy, Scooby, and Courage, and they pretty much do exactly what you'd expect. They end up coming face to face with the monster. They do a lot of running. I swear to God, it sounds like Courage says fuck at one point.
Whoa, wait a minute, did Kurt just say fuck?
I heard shut the fuck up. I heard it too. I shut the fuck up.
Out of here.
We probably misheard that. That's probably not what it was, but it really sounds like he says fuck. I never get past that and how funny that is. They do the typical Scooby gag where Shaggy, Scooby, and even Courage, they dress up to try and trick the monster to get away, but then he ends up chasing after them.
We'll start in here, then sweep the upstairs levels before finishing in the basement.
Okay, why does the mustache make Shaggy look like Joseph Stalin?
No, listen, you got it all wrong here, Stevie. It's obviously Charlie Day as Luigi.
They do the door gag where the characters run in and out of different doors in a hallway. Ultimately, they end up regrouping with the rest of the characters because they end up in an even deeper area that's supposed to be underground. And, well, you find that the frequency is this device that is putting out this hypnotic frequency, and it seems to be targeting rich people. So whenever these rich people pick up the phone, they become hypnotized, and what they end up doing is they take gold and jewels and bags of money and other riches, and they drop it off at the Baggs' house. But the only person who's at the house is Eustace, and, well, what's so fucking strange is what follows, and this is the most infamous part of the movie. You have it that Eustace is just so happy to be getting all these riches, he ends up rapping.
Oh no.
Oh no! God damn it, dude.
Why does Scooby-Doo need rap songs?
Why the fuck do we...
There is a rap number in this film sung by Eustace Bagg. And it was in that moment I was thinking, wow, the person that made the original Courage the Cowardly Dog show wasn't attached to this, like as a writer or a director or a producer. Man, you could hardly tell. I mean, I definitely could imagine that he would totally be on board with putting that in the movie.
My next big hairstyle is gonna be Big Jerry curls.
And the thing is, the song itself, I'm so conflicted on because it's like, okay, part of me just cringes internally every time I see it. But at the same time, it does cross that threshold of like, oh my god, it's so fucking bad. It actually kind of borders on being so bad it's funny. Because it's just like, everything that, it just feels so against what the original Courage the Cowardly Dog show was. It just, you could just tell that was like a studio decision. They were just like, oh, how do we make this cool and hip for the young people? Fucking rap number, let's put that in there.
You know what? At least we didn't see him dab.
The gang end up walking into a cornfield, and they're slowly taken away by these cicadas. And, well, it's one thing where, like, okay, they take Muriel, they take Fred, Daphne, and Velma, but it seems like it's up to our three cowardly heroes, you know, Shaggy, Scooby, and Courage. But then they pull the rug out from under us, and even Shaggy gets taken away.
We'll draw the line here, and I will stand and fight.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Why do I get the feeling that's a reference to Deep Blue Sea with Samuel Jackson? He's like, he's doing this speech exercise, he just dies.
Yeah, it kind of is like that.
It's up to Courage and Scooby. So they have to figure out what exactly is going on. So they go back to the house while Eustace is just rolling in riches, and they go to the computer, who is one of the few people who return for their voices. had to look this up. I didn't know it off the bat. Courage is the same voice actor. Muriel is the same voice actress before she passed away, so at least she got to reprise the role one more time, and she honestly sounds exactly the same. In fact, honestly, everybody who did return sounds exactly the same. I think the only person in the Courage cast that wasn't the same was Eustace, because the actor for Eustace passed away shortly before this movie. So, I mean, he does an okay job. It doesn't sound exactly the same, but Eustace, just like a lot of the other characters, like, they had such distinct voices, it's like, okay, yeah, it's not exactly the same, but it's close enough. So I was able to look past that. He did fine.
Okay, the guy voicing Eustace does a okay job so far.
Yeah, it at least sounds kind of like him.
The Scooby Gang, I mean, again, I haven't watched a bunch of these Scooby movies in like forever, but I mean, you know, they pretty much sound the same. It is kind of odd hearing Scooby do more full sentences. I think the only one that might be new is, well, obviously Matthew Lillard took over as Shaggy a long time ago. I think Velma's a new voice actress. I think she was on Steven Universe from the little I've seen of that show, and I think she was also in like DuckTales. At least I think. I know MediaWiz is probably going to correct me and tell me I'm wrong or something. I don't know. Again, I don't keep up with a lot of this stuff. But anyway, so Courage and Scooby go to the computer and they hook it up to a tablet that Velma's been using all throughout the movie, and the computer and the tablet end up falling in love.
Later, we could share a download, have an upgrade.
Good reaction shot.
But more importantly, they reveal something involving this ancient meteorite that crash landed.
In the exact middle of an impact crater of immense size. It was caused by one of the most deadly meteors in the history of the planet.
So they're going to have to go all the way down to the Earth's core to try and get this thing, because apparently it is what has been causing all this weird shit to be going on in nowhere. It's the closest thing to an explanation that you're going to get, and I could see some people not liking it. I actually thought it was a decent way of going about it. I mean, it doesn't entirely take away from the mystique of Courage, but it does still give a good enough explanation, especially considering how, you know, stuff in Courage I don't think would necessarily work in Scooby-Doo continuity as far as like the Scooby-Doo that I grew up with. I mean, again, I grew up with Zombie Island and stuff like that, so maybe it's not too out of the norm, but at the same time, you know, like anthropomorphic ducks and cat men and stuff like that, and all the other weird supernatural shit, it is a good enough explanation. I did think it was one of the more interesting things in the movie, especially when they actually do give a full-fledged explanation at the very end.
And it is the exact center of a map of documented weirdness that only seems to affect nowhere. It is all because of the meteor.
So that explains everything in the cartoon?
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, so this is them trying to justify all the weird stuff that's happened in Courage.
We harnessed that.
That's actually pretty creative.
So they're going to have to go underground to try and get this meteorite thing because it holds the supernatural abilities and pretty much just gives them the ability to alter reality. And, well, they do, and there's a musical number that goes along with it. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. The music in this movie, we already talked about the rap number, the titular Straight Outta Nowhere. We don't have to keep talking about that. But there's like 2 or 3 other songs in the movie. They're mostly for montage. There's one during the opening credits, and then there's 2 other ones, and I don't think they're amazing or anything. I think the gold standard for Scooby movies has to be Zombie Island, and also Witch's Ghost, because come on, that gave us the Hex Girls, people, obviously. But the songs, not counting the rap number, songs in this decent. I mean, they definitely feel like something you'd hear in Scooby and Courage. I mean, they have that kind of like backwoods country twang sound that you'd hear in Courage, but it also sounds like something you'd hear in a Scooby movie. They're fun enough for what they are. But anyway, so while they're trying to get this meteor, they end up finding Muriel and the rest of the Mystery Inc. crew, and well, you know, trying to dodge these cicada monsters. There's this big game of keep away. You do get some creative visuals here. I did like what they did. I mean, they're trying to keep the meteor away from the cicadas, and it keeps transforming them into a bunch of different things. Like one of them turns into a fish, one of them turns into like a slug creature, one of them turns into like blocks. One of them's like an 8-bit character. I thought that was a pretty unique way of jumping from different art styles, and it was creative visuals. But ultimately, it comes down to one giant cicada monster that tries to make off with Muriel and Courage, and we just get this full-on kaiju Godzilla versus Kong level fight scene, and I gotta say, this is probably the best part of the movie for sure.
Godzilla versus Kong, eat your fucking heart out. Next we know it does the Invincible meme. Think, Courage, think!
Think, Courage, think!
I was joking with the Godzilla reference. I did not think they were
Nobody fucking does that.
What's really funny is Scooby and the gang, they basically take a back seat during this whole thing. Courage basically becomes the main character of this whole sequence. And, you know, I think, I'm going to talk a little bit about this later, but I feel like out of everything in the movie, this is like the part that feels the most like Courage. This is just Courage, still scared out of his wits, going forward to try and save, you know, the people he loves, whether it's Muriel or his new friends, you know, with Scooby and the Mystery Inc. guys. I really like this scene a lot. Courage gets the meteor, and everything ends up going back to normal, and we finally get the mask off moment where it turns out that it was the mayor. But in an extra twist, it turns out the mayor was actually Katz and LeQuack from Courage.
When they stop, holy shit!
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Like, who are these weird
Holy
dudes?
shit!
It's Cats and LeQuack.
And on top of that, it turns out that the red herring, scary butler and German servant lady, it turns out they were the general and the soldier from Courage. And it turns out they were just trying to do undercover work to figure out if Katz and LeQuack were behind all this. Not gonna lie, I saw the whole mayor thing coming from a mile away, but that other shit totally surprised me first time I saw it. I was not expecting that.
And you are...
Right, sorry.
No way!
Okay, was not expecting that. It's kind of fucking great.
Because of certain frequencies that the meteorite was giving off, and they were going to use it so that all these rich people would give them riches, and then they would drop it off at the bag's house, they would swoop in and take it and, you know, leave town. But those meddling kids and their damn dog got in the way. And then, again, another kids movie tradition, we talk about it all the time on Blockbusters show. I don't know what Hollywood's obsession is with ending movies like this, but it ends in a dance number.
You're gonna end this with a fucking dance sequence, I just know it.
Yeah, they are dancing with
Fuck yeah.
Oh my god, I just see Fred dabbing.
Granted, they were kind of building it up from the beginning with having Courage and Scooby constantly moving around and dancing.
Can't believe they actually ended this thing on a fucking dance number, dude.
I mean, it was the only way to go, I guess.
Only way to go out.
But what I thought was a really cute touch was ending the movie with music that sounds like the old Courage the Cowardly Dog ending credits music.
Oh my god, it's almost like an exact recreation of the Courage ending.
It sounds just like it.
Yeah. Do you think it's gonna end with that CGI Courage taking a bow like it did in the cartoon?
Oh, please do that.
So overall, I think there's a bunch of different ways to look at this movie. As a straight-to-video Scooby-Doo movie, it's entertaining. I was entertained. I was pleasantly surprised. It was better than I thought it was going to be. And the few things I complained about, they're pretty much just nitpicks. As a Courage movie, I think the third act kind of makes up for this, but I think the biggest thing when it comes to the whole Courage aspect, it's not as dark as a lot of Courage episodes tended to be. And I said the same thing when we talked about Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. It's not as dark as the original show, which part of me feels like maybe that was some studio intervention. The studio was like, hey, we don't want to get any notes. We don't want concerned parent groups or whatever emailing us and writing to us and hashtags on social media and whatnot. So I can understand why they did that. At the same time, there is sort of that feeling of like, yeah, the guy behind Courage was not there. You could just definitely feel that. I mean, not just with the rap number, but there are certain parts where it's like, yeah, it does have the heart of Courage, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's the same vision as the person who originally made Courage. I mean, at least the Invader Zim movie, it was made by the same guy that made the original Invader Zim show. This, you know, you could just feel the absence of John Dilworth when it came to the courage aspects of this movie. It's like, you're gonna profit off of nostalgia with like Courage the Cowardly Dog t-shirts. Every time I go out to shop, I see them selling shirts of that. Then why not let him do a Courage special or something? At the same time, I feel like that third act definitely felt the most courage. It definitely felt like the most Courage the Cowardly Dog thing in the whole movie, for sure. And, you know, Courage really isn't too horribly out of character. Muriel isn't out of character. Eustace, for the most part, isn't. Somebody told me this. Apparently they offered the guy who did Billy and Mandy the director position for this, but I think out of principle, he's like, no, if you're not going to have John R. Dilworth work on this, then I'm not working on it either. Which, you know what? Mad respect to that. I feel like that's creators sticking together, and I feel like that's a really good thing. Then again, I have to keep reminding myself, it's Warner Brothers we're talking here. They don't make a lot of really great decisions a lot of the time. Overall, would I recommend this movie? If you're looking for a fun Scooby movie, sure. If you're looking for a Courage movie, I think a lot of Courage fans would like it, but definitely be warned. Just like I said with Enter the Florpus, not as dark as the original show. That might turn some fans off. You know, I'd say watch the movie and come to your own conclusion. But me personally, not a masterpiece by any means, but I was entertained by it. I thought it was perfectly fine. It was better than I thought it was going to be. Any kind of gripes I may have had with the movie, as minor as they were, I still feel like this is probably going to be the best one we're going to talk about this month, because next up for Blockbusters, we're going to be talking about 2016's Yoga Hosers. Yeah, the movie that basically killed Kevin Smith's attempt at an anthology horror comedy trilogy. That's not going to be fun, but until then, guys, I'm Adam Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.